Hi, I'm Noelle Hyman with paperclipping.com, and I'm here with Dyan Reavely.
Hi.
And we're going to look at your Dylusions line with Ranger.
Yep, I'm now one of their signature designers.
That's so exciting.
So exciting.
And you deserve to be.
Thank you.
I love your stuff. I mean, just to give you guys an idea of the amazingly beautiful arts and the colors and the products that your design team and yourself.
Yeah, these are samples by me and the design team as well. So it's just colour. I'm all about colour, all about pop, all about fun.
Fun.
Yeah.
Look, I love the mushrooms. I'm a big fan of mushrooms.
We call them toadstools.
Toadstools, that's right. I think you told me that last year.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to whip around and look at some of your products, and then you're going to do a demo.
Yes, I am.
So that's exciting. All right, so what have you got coming out new right now?
I have stamps already, but we've got 6 new sets of stamps. So again, these are in my traditional style, so they're a bit quirky. We have the heads here, and I use things like these here. The toadstools could be hair.
So
we
fun.
have backgrounds, words, all the usual. Then they all match all my previous stuff. I never do any, I always try to mix everything up so you can use with what you've got.
Just build on what you've got. What kind of stamps are they?
They're red rubber stamps, and they're on cling. So I love red rubber, and I have them on cling. So everything is under the Ranger branch as well now. So the stamps are Ranger, the stencils, the inks, everything. Because I'm their signature designer, all my products are Ranger.
All good quality, well made.
Fantastic.
And what do we have here?
So we've got the stencils, because I'm a big doodler and I use stencils a lot. But most stencils on the market are really rigid and normal. And although I like them, I like bits missing. Like this. I like to have little bits missing. I like them random. So they're all hand drawn, like my stamps. So they're a bit varied. And we have an inside, and we have a border on them so that we can doodle. So I've brought out 6, and I've brought them out in the 5x8 and the 9x12. So they fit my journals. It's all about me. I bring things out that will fit my stuff, and then it just seems to work for everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's what makes a good product work, is because you use it.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you use it and love it. And then we've got the 12 sprays. So you can see the colour. I love this display. It's just like a candy store. So we've got 12 new ink sprays out as well. And that's the line.
They're gorgeous. They look kind of like Jellos.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
All right, let's go do a little demo here. This is one of your art journals?
Yes, this is just one of the journals. But you could do this on tags or on card, anything like that. So I'll just find a page that hasn't got anything on, which is difficult in my books. Okay, so I always start off with water. I use a lot of ink, and when I put it on, you might think, oh, she's using so much ink, but you'll see as we go. So I'm just going to spritz one of the pages with water, and then I'm going to pick the colours, and I'm going to use the squeezed orange, big puddles of colours, nice big puddles. That's the bubblegum pink, and then vibrant turquoise.
And you can just let them mix?
Yes, you just let them mix. I'm going to add a little bit more water so they'll mix even more. So they blend. And then I'm going to shut the book. So I'm just going to press both pages together, and they will transfer over.
Oh my, so vibrant.
Yeah. And then you can see where I've oversprayed here. It never bothers me. I just take another tag or another book, and I mop up the ink, and then I've got something started, ready to go again in a minute. So we've got the ink on there. If you want to add more, if you think, oh, I want that bit more orange, you can add more. That's not a problem at all. My inks are... people are a bit confused that are they replacing the colour wash? No, the colour wash are fabric dyes, so they're made for textiles. Mine aren't. You're not going to wash anything of mine. So mine are more translucent, so you can layer them up, and you can use them in conjunction with the colour wash. Obviously at the show I'm just using mine, but at home I use them. They're just a different colour palette, because the colour wash are very intense and a darker palette. That's the difference. But mine are also reactive with water. So I'm just using one of the stencils, and I'm just going to spritz some water through the stencil, and then I'm going to flip the stencil so I get a positive effect on this side and a negative effect on that side. And I don't know if you can see it starting to react, and then I'm just going to roll it with the kitchen roll, and you can see. So your first layer is very easily created. It looks as though you've done this first and then put this on the top.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a dry because we're going to put some ink on the top, and if I put more ink on now it would bleed. So I'm just going to waft it dry a little bit.
And you don't try to protect the pages underneath.
Oh, no.
You
No,
just let it go.
no, it just goes everywhere. If I clean everything off in my book, I clean my stencils. As you look through the book, there's stuff everywhere, and it's good because it adds for your next page. So I'm going to go for one of the smaller stencils, and I'm going to place that on, and then this time I'm just going to give a light spritz, and then I'm going to turn it over and press it off and give another light spritz, and then whatever's on there I might put in my book, or I'll just press it off onto another tag, or I might just, don't worry about anything, nothing, you know, everything's random and it looks good that way.
You don't sit and think, okay, what am I going to do next?
No, no. Tim always says to me, I can't get over you don't know what you're going to do. I said, if people don't know what I'm going to do, they don't know when I do it wrong. So that's the best thing. So I'm going to take one of the alphabet ones and spray a little bit. And again, just random, just here, there, wherever. So you can see now the layers in that. So we've got this layer that was ghosted, we've got the ink, and then we've got layers on the top. So already you're building up the layers.
Starts to look so mysterious.
Yes, definitely. So I've also got my stamps, and I'm going to use one of the background stamps. And I use I love the archival inks, and the archival inks are permanent and they're waterproof, and it's important to me because I might add more ink over the top. So, and I don't use these on a block, I just ink them badly, and I pick them up and I roll them so I get a different effect every time I do it, because there's nothing worse than having that stamped there, stamped there, stamped there. I think it just looks it just doesn't look right for me. So
they kind of disappear. They're just showing up and disappearing.
Because it's a background. And what people forget is a background is meant to be in the background. You should see the main image first, and then you should see what's going on in the background. Okay? So what I've done as well is, so I've got the border stencils, which I've mislaid. Sorry. So the border stencils you can use with a dabber, or you can still spray through. So I'm going to use it with a black dabber. Yeah. So you can just, and again, I'm very messy, I miss bits. I don't want to have a really, really neat image. But you can be a bit more careful if you like.
You're creating kind of a border around it.
Yeah, yeah. And then you could doodle through this. And the stencils themselves, you could doodle through the stencils. You know, you could take, say, this one and a pen. You can scribble through. You know, you don't just have to use them with the inks. You use them with everything that you've already got. So you can just add them on just here and there. Or you could spray, you know, so I always say that with my products, I don't want everybody to buy everything, but what they buy, I want them to be able to use
in
a
multiple
lot.
ways.
Yeah. So I'm also known for my leaves, and this time I've brought out some solid ones, again, for doodling. So I'm just going to ink that with my black, which I have mislaid. There we go. So these will instantly make your page pop. And can you see the shading you get by just not inking them properly? I just think it's lovely.
You're not even thinking.
No,
you're just
not
getting
even thinking. I'm just doing. I'm going to add a bit of gesso in there as well. I'll use this one across the page. So through the stencil. Oh. My craft scraper's walked out. Sorry.
That's okay. Looking for stuff here. Well, I'm going to show something I'm noticing.
Thank you.
I'm liking how the bottom is getting heavier, like you would see in nature. Where's the top?
Coming down.
Oh, they're coming down. Okay, but there's differentiation. It's fine. Yeah, this is the difference. You know, this is the contrast in terms of the weight.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So I'm just going to take the stencil and I'm just going to very badly flick some gesso through. And you don't want to be precise, you just want it to be here and there. And again, I would normally wipe that off onto another page, but I'm just going to leave it for now. And then you can just give it a quick dry. And again, it's all about adding texture and background, and the white is offsetting the black. So while that's drying...
How many different colors do you have in
12.
12 colors?
Yeah, 10 of the really, really brights, and then we have a black and a brown.
You have a black and a brown?
Yes. Yeah.
Ah.
So when here now, I'm just going to take a white pen, and so the solid stamps are really for you to doodle with. It will come up in a minute. It's a Sakura pen, so it's one of those that goes on clear and then comes up really, really white. And again, you can see I'm not precise. I'm just being quite general. That will come up. Okay. If I wanted to, I could place this stencil back on here, and I could spray ink back through. And when I do that, I usually offset it a little bit. You see the white coming? I'm just going to dry it a tiny bit more.
And I can see some of the ink scribbles.
Yes.
I mean, the pen scribbles.
Yeah, you can see all. When you look, it should be like when you look close, you see things. So you can see, I'm just going to move it slightly off centre, and then spritz. So again, I'm not precise. You see?
Yeah, it's mimicking what you've already done.
So we've got that done like that. Then on my background stamp, I'm going to actually use it with a onto the block this time and stamp it round the bottom. So, you know, I don't dry that. That will be drying while I'm busy doing something else. So I'm going to stamp some flowers around here, and I'm going to show you another way to use the inks. And again, I've missed a bit. It doesn't matter. We just add round.
Okay, because this is fascinating to me, because we're literally working in, 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
And you're getting all of these layers on.
Yeah, definitely. I do work really, really fast. You don't have to work this fast, but this is how I work. I'm just bending those back.
Well, I think it says a lot that people can do so much in one.
Oh, definitely,
short.
definitely. But it's up to you. You can either spend your time doing lots of backgrounds or make a whole scene. People don't have a lot of time these days, so you need to be able to do things quickly. Ranger have brought out a water brush, which is the best water brush I've ever seen. It's got a point on. And I came up with the idea to fill them with my inks, because I paint in with my inks. So I just got a pipette and put the ink straight into here. And then you can also colour in. And again, I'm not neat. You can be neat if you want, but I'm not neat. So you can just go in and you can add accents here and there. And can you see how the colours layer? They're not turning into mud. There's so many layers on here, but they're not turning into mud. They're staying. You can see what different colours there are, so you can just go on like that and add all the colours in. And I love this. They only had 7 brushes, and I pinched all of them, but I will end up with 12 before I go, one for every colour, because it's just so useful to use it like that. So my stamped images, you can see I've just stamped one out here. Again, they will all coordinate, so I can be a bit neater with this. And I'll give her some turquoise eyebrows, I think. But can you see, it's such a good brush, and it stays in, and then it can all mimic together. And then my new stamps, this is one that I use a lot with other things, sort of as a headdress or as hair. So you can add these, add like these, and then I could just maybe add this here.
Those are great. Do these come together in one set, these two stamps?
These don't, no. They come, this is the heads. So we've got the heads here, and I have used I've used that as hair coming out as well. And then that one comes with the toadstools that you love.
Yeah.
So I've used this as hair, I've used this as hair. And then I've also brought out words this time. People have asked me a lot about words, so I'm just going to use the dream. And I have the solid ones here, which you can doodle, and I have the not so solid, so you could paint them in if you wanted to stamp this on. I'll stamp it here.
That's awesome.
So if I wanted to, I could make this pink.
And why is it that they don't get muddy with all of that layering?
Because they're not intense, as in for the textile. They're made specially for me into translucent, because that is what I'm all about, building up the layers. So as I say, we're not saying replace what you've got. We're saying these are made for me. They're in my bright colour palette, which I love, and use them in conjunction with what you've got.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Awesome.
I love it.
Thanks so much, Dyan.
Pleasure.
And so the line is called Dylusions.
Dylusions, that was Tim's idea, because obviously I'm called Di, and he said I'm delusional, so that's why the line's called Dylusions, and it works really well.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it
and
does.
It's all available from Ranger. So this means that because my inks have always been available in the UK and nowhere else, but now the whole world can get them, which is really cool.
It's good for everybody.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm Noelle Hyman from paperclipping.com, and you can watch more videos over there. Thank you.